We have no clue about the decisions that will be made. We don't know if there will be a church split or not. We also don't know what the church will look like in 5 or 10 years. While I don't know what the next years will bring, I do know that God is already in the future. God is in the future preparing a way for God's faithful people. However, we must be willing to move forward and face the changes that God wills, or we'll be stuck in today. We must be completely focused on the future, not on the glory days of the past. We must forever banish the words "we've never done it this way before" or "we've always done it this way" from every church meeting's vocabulary. The past is past, and God is not in the past. God has moved to the future. The past doesn't matter, only the future. You know, there's a reason why a car's windshield is so large and the rear view mirror is so small. So we don't spend our time looking where we were. It's interesting that an airplane has no rear view mirror. They don't care where they've been. They only care about arriving safely at the next destination. In my first church, I was the associate, and I went and visited some of our people, and there was just a delightful woman. I'll never forget her. Her name is Florence Fluke, and her husband was a very successful surgeon. And you could tell when you walked into her apartment, she came from money. And her antiques, as she walked me through, would tell me this piece was made in 1780. This has been in my husband's family. Just on and on and on. Silver like I've never seen. Furniture like I've never seen. One day I went to visit her, and there were boxes all over. And I said, "Florence, what's going on?" And she said, "Well, I'm moving to Bethany Village. I'm going to have a one-room apartment." And I said, "What are you going to do with all of your things?" She said, "They're going to sale." I said, "Florence, they've been in your family for generations." She said, "It doesn't matter. It's just stuff. They're in the past. I'm looking to the future." Joanne and I spent 2 weeks ago, and I've got to be careful, she's here, but we spent 2 weeks ago starting to clean out. We're moving from a very large parsonage to a small retirement home. And it's hard to say what's the stuff of the past, because we would have this discussion. But this has been my grandmother's. And this has been in our family. But it's just stuff. Church, we got to stop looking back, claiming that the best days are behind us, because God is ahead of us in the tomorrows, not the yesterdays. Revelation 21:3 says, Look, God has already moved into the neighborhood, making his home with men and women. They're his people, and he's their God. God is already in the tomorrow, waiting for us. God is already waiting beyond whatever General Conference does, because God is in the future. The third thought of our Lewisburg District is about stewardship. Now, in conversation with our pastors, I know that some churches have said to their pastor, "Do not talk about money. It upsets our people." However, there are a couple things about stewardship that's essential to being a follower of Jesus Christ. The first is that we must stop moaning and complaining about scarcity. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough people. We don't have any young people. We don't. Church, do we serve a God of scarcity or a God of abundance? Any church that continues to dwell on not having is serving a God of scarcity. And a God of scarcity is not the God of the Bible, and it's not the God of my experience. We must get out of the rut of scarcity and believe that our God is a God of abundance. When we do that, We then begin to not only give out of our abundance, but we live out of our abundance and not our scarcity. Chris Christopher, in his book, Not Your Parents' Offering Plate, says, nothing is more revealing of what is happening inside people's hearts than what decisions they are making with their pocketbook. He goes on to say, a famous evangelist once said, the only thing standing between God and a person's heart is their wallet. The only thing standing between God and a person's heart is their wallet. One of the recent credit card commercials says, what's in your wallet? My question to you as leaders of the church and to myself is what stands between God and your heart and what stands between God and my heart? Is it our wallet? Do we hang on tenaciously to our money rather than giving generously? Does your church make sure that at the start of the year there are thousands of dollars in the bank, thereby not trusting God? Scripture is clear that all we have comes from God. All that we are comes from God, a gift that you and I did not earn. If that's true, then why do Christian leaders in our churches not tithe? Why is it that we want to condemn all kinds of social sin, but heaven forbid if we talk freely about not giving to God? I firmly believe that we get what we pay for. And that goes for our leadership in our churches. It's amazing to me that we have leaders in leadership who think it's okay to be in worship once or twice a month. Part of our stewardship is worshiping our God with our whole being and our time. We have leaders on our ad council, on our leadership team, on the finance committee that do not tithe, and some do not give. Tithing has absolutely nothing to do with money, but everything to do with our faith commitment to Jesus Christ. There's a wonderful story about a little boy who got his hand stuck in a vase. Well, it was an antique vase, so it's probably an antique vase, very expensive. And his mom and dad tried everything. They poured oil down. They melted some oil to try to couldn't stand out, and they were ready to break it. And then his older sister came in and said, Johnny, open your hand. And he said, no. She said, open your hand. And he said, no. And his mom said, what do you have in your hand? And he said, I have a penny. She said, open your hand. Well, if I open it, I'll drop it and let go of it. What are we holding on to tenaciously? As leaders, is it our time? Is it our calendar? Is it our checkbook? The fourth issue for the Lewisburg District is in a question that someone posed to me. The question are our congregation's pastor and leaders keepers of the aquarium, or are we fishers of people? There's a huge difference between churches that are keepers of their aquarium and those that are fishing for people. Keepers of the aquarium are ones that care more about their members than those outside the church. They spend significantly more time and money on themselves. The churches that are keepers of the aquarium are churches whose pastors are expected to spend most of their time visiting the fish already in the aquarium. These aquarium churches help the pastor understand that he or she is hired to be their personal chaplain, and they expect the pastor to work hard to make sure that all of the members are kept happy and satisfied, often ignoring those outside the congregation. Aquarium churches are churches who say they are the friendliest church in town, but spend their greeting time talking with their friends and making plans for lunch, and then wonder why